And we are back in action. Wow, we had a little bit of a break, but we are back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you are new here, welcome back to the Book Club Bros. And this month, we are reading 61, there you go, pause, Life Lessons from Papa on and Off the Court by Chris Paul with Michael Wilbon. And guys, this is going to be a jam-packed episode because of the holidays and Thanksgiving last week. We had to skip. So we're doing part 2 and part 3. So if you are reading along, that is from chapter 5 all the way up to chapter 18. So we're going to be flying through this book, man. It's going to be crazy.
Like 175 pages.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, hope you guys flip through some pages over the holidays. Otherwise, you are way behind.
Yeah.
Dude, we went through this.
Yeah, but honestly, it's been a really easy read still.
Just sit down for a couple hours.
Yeah, but let's get right into it. Chapter 5, The Game. It's kind of interesting how they keep doing this, where I've been noticing, at least reading this part of it, I guess this part 2 and 3, is like they'll jump back to this 61-point game, do a little bit of like his thought process, and then jump right out into something else, like a life lesson or like him in the future.
Bro, I didn't even realize that until I think I annotated it in here. Like it was probably chapter 9 or something, because it wasn't chapter 5 where they were going. I was like, oh, they're progressing through the game. So like they'll be doing whatever, and then like it's the first quarter, and then he'll jump back and it's late in the first quarter, and then you'll jump back and it's the second quarter. And so I did think that was like a really cool. Once I understood that, I didn't get it was the same way like the journal entries. It was almost like the same thing to me. He's kind of in and out of that. Yeah, kind of flashback, flash forward.
Yeah, so chapter 5, I didn't have anything really to point out. I'm trying to remember, man. It was 13 chapters ago.
No, yeah, that was more so just
him jumping through the scoring and him doing well. Dreamland, I thought that was a very interesting chapter about him and getting raised in the church.
I like the quote to start it off. He starts the chapters with a quote. I just highlighted the ones that I liked. And this one said, make sure you have love to share, health to spare, and friends that care. I was like, I like that quote.
That was a good one. Quincy Jones.
He has like he quotes his like coach. He quotes like just anonymous quotes sometimes. Like he just says, I think he just says anonymous sometimes in there.
But yeah, so chapter 6, it's mainly talking about him getting raised up in the church and how important it is for him and just like the entire raising of just his childhood.
It reminded me, dude. It reminded me a lot of my like how I was raised.
Your upbringing,
dude. It was crazy. Like, my identity was like we were South Baptist, like church every Sunday, Wednesday. Helping out on Saturdays whenever we could. Like, it was weird to kind of see how similar that was. The occupations and stuff like that between his parents are different.
Yeah, because you were super, because you even played in the
band, I was in the worship team. I
Yeah,
played bass guitar in the worship team. So like we were and like that was our community. Like even though I played sports, like it was weird. From all the sports people, I was the one guy who was like the church was still my community, because I wasn't necessarily doing what those guys were doing. But so I mean I related to that in like a clear way.
Yeah, so that's what we found out, especially in chapter 6, was church was definitely a solid foundation for Chris moving out. And he really appreciated, growing up in that environment. And then chapter 7, Don't Quit.
Church day.
That was a long chapter.
Their church day was from 10
to
to 5:30.
Yeah.
10 a.m. to 5:30.
No, not like that. Because mine was like, I even get that though, because I would show up we'd have like worship team practice, do that until like 8:30. Then you go to Sunday school, and then you go. So mine was like 7:30 to like 12, and I guess even that kind of seems long now looking back at it. But like, boy, he's saying 10:30 to 5:30. Like that's like 7 hours.
It is. It literally
That's
is.
7 hours.
Yeah.
We would only have to do that like once a month. I think it was like our first Sunday. We would have to go, like, we would go to early morning service. Well, I had to go twice because my youth pastor would pick me up. So I would go to the first service.
Okay.
Then we would go to the next one. And then we would leave, come like get food, and then come back for like communion and stuff every first Sunday of the month. Yeah.
Here, I'm gonna bump you up in audio.
Dude, everyone's traditions like that. They're just like the way that it never ceases to amaze me just how different you can just grow up from people too, and how much that shapes you.
Yeah, bro.
It's so crazy because like I wouldn't So and that was in Jacksonville, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you got? What did your family kind of grow up as, like
Well,
whenever they were attending?
I was raised Catholic, but
Yeah.
once I got older, it's funny because it's kind of sad to say. I only started going to church because I was dating a girl
Hey.
who was like super into it, and like her whole family was in, and it was like a thing for them. So it would be
That's-
Sunday
that's
and
how it happens.
Wednesday. Yeah, bro.
Shout out.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it though. That was a really good part of my life for sure.
That's awesome.
I enjoyed that.
I know, man, but I'm telling you, 10:30.
Yeah, 10 to 5.
I mean, dude, that's
is-
just.
that's a day.
Yeah, oh, I did. I highlighted that. He said church normally runs about 1 to 2 hours, but like black church is gonna keep you there singing, praising, listening to
Yes.
the sermon, memorizing all those scriptures and all that stuff. And I was like, that because he said he didn't even realize other churches weren't like that. That's
Yeah.
that's the weird thing is like
Yeah.
I even understood that some churches were longer and shorter, but I don't know any. I had a friend that was Mormon, and they had a little bit set of different, kind of what they were doing on Sunday. I think it was 7 hours.
No.
So like that's
It's a
that's
long
it.
day,
You-
man.
Yeah,
at
it
that
is.
point, you just got to be like just fellowship / friendship.
Right,
like
right.
like what are you
It
doing?
better be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It better be.
No, because like my because
I'll
like
be-
church it is not
be
a
killing
it is
someone.
not a 7-hour
Yeah.
sermon, dude. No one is doing
There
that.
better be a
Yeah.
break and a
Yeah, bro.
lunchtime.
Exactly.
I want
bro.
to see this church though. I want to see like this whole kind of how it all goes down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
bro.
But on the next page, I kind of thought it was cool how he said like just to relate back to my childhood, how his dad was a deacon, and
Mhm.
so was my dad was a deacon at our church. So it's just like all these different like parallels
Yeah.
for his childhood. But that's what he talked a lot about mostly was just kind of like the church life in that one.
Yeah, that was a long chapter too.
It was.
That was a
It
good, that was
pretty-
a
Right.
meaty chapter. Chapter 7, moving on. Don't quit.
This one was good. This is his little JV stuff that was going on.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy because he said he was like averaging like almost 30 points a game playing JV, and I mean I get it because afterwards he was like nobody cares what you do when you're playing JV, which is true. I mean
That's so true
to
though.
a certain extent,
Yeah.
if you are dropping 30 though a game, yeah, I don't know, might have to move you up to varsity at least for the end of the year.
I think my favorite part in that chapter was he changed the perspective on playing on JV, and it
Mhm.
was like, look, like you played on J like that because he played 2 years on JV. So his first year was second year was not development of his skills, but development in his confidence.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, like that's like such a good thing to know. It's like, hey, like when you're in the minor leagues, like don't think of it as like you're not good enough. It's like, hey, you're just building up your confidence. So when you do hit it, like you're there for a long time because you are confident in yourself. I thought it
And-
was a really good perspective.
Dude, and that is a great perspective, and it's one of the things that you hear, and coming from him, and honestly, I'm in the world of sports a lot now, so I just like listen to a lot of athletes talk, and that's one of the huge separators that they say is like, there's a lot of like just talented people out there, like crazy gifted people out there. There's a lot of people that are like really good that wouldn't even say it because they don't have the confidence.
Yeah.
Like, and like that is such a like that's just ridiculous to me that some people can unlock that confidence to be like I just like we're as good at basketball as each other. It's just I think I'm gonna make it every time. It doesn't happen, but I think I'm gonna make it every time, which leads to me making it 45% of the time. You think you're a good basketball player, you kind of expect them, you kind of want to make it, and you make it 25% of the time, and you
Yeah.
play pickup. Like you're
Yeah.
a good player. I think I'm gonna make it every time, and it just goes in 45% of the time, and I'm in the
Yeah.
NBA.
Or yeah,
That's what they say.
or when it comes to the pressure.
Yeah,
too,
very
you
true.
know?
Yeah.
Pressure. Even the greatest people, like they this is how they handle that thing.
Yeah.
How I wanted to handle it for him is different than how he wanted to handle it for himself.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, what? So he really does have it figured out. Like he's like bigger picture. Like that's
Right.
Yeah, because he never messed with that guy at
Not
all.
at
Like
all.
he never
Didn't
went
even-
after him, even after saying
No.
put water in his
Yeah.
gas and stuff
Yep.
like that.
didn't
That's
even
the
defend
big thing.
himself.
Yep.
He didn't even like do anything. He's just like, hey, look, it's the truth will rise to the surface eventually. Is
Yeah.
what he was saying.
Moving on, chapter 8, Father, Sons, and Brothers. I think this one was kind of just a summary of him growing up with his brother and the appreciative of like him pushing
Mm-hmm.
each other so much.
Made him better.
And that's from his Phoenix coach, which is, it's weird reading this book because he's playing for the Phoenix Suns at the time
Yeah.
of writing this book, and now he's obviously on the Warriors,
Well,
which is my team. But like, dude, it's so weird. Like, I do like that. He actually references that a little bit later too about
Mhm.
reps removing doubt. But I thought that was a cool quote to open it. But I did highlight something on the bottom of that first page I wanted to bring up to you guys.
what,
so it
what
says-
page?
On that first page, so 119, just
119.
right there on chapter 8. So it says, believe me, being a boy and having a big brother makes a tremendous difference. A huge part of my competitive nature came from having CJ in my life. And I was like, I can't imagine like the extra work I probably maybe wouldn't have put in if I wasn't like having a brother to compete with.
Yeah.
And it's like, had you guys ever considered like have you ever thought about that with having kids? Like I want to have kids around the same age so they can play, against each other. I want them to be spaced out because some people are like, I don't want 2 kids in diapers. Like, I want them spaced out, whatever. Like, have you guys thought about that at all?
Yeah, I was actually talking to someone here, and I think a good age difference is about like 2
Yeah.
to 4 years space difference between
Agreed.
the kids.
Before?
Yeah, because it's like just enough the other, but they can still play and relate to each other where it's not like awkward distance.
That's what I'm saying. I think I would want my kids to have a chance to play on the same team together.
Mm-hmm.
On a same
Okay,
team.
so like within like high school.
Yeah, because
So, like,
my
2 to
freshman
3,
year,
yeah.
me and my older brother got to share the court for like occasionally for basketball. So I was a freshman, he was a senior, so that was cool. My younger brother, he was like 7 years younger, so like it honestly felt like he was always just out.
Yeah. Well, that's
like,
crazy.
Dude. It was like
I remember way back then.
and I get that's just part of growing up, right? A
Yeah.
lot of people have lives like that, but I just wondered like. So many people talk about that. I just didn't know if you guys had kind of considered that or what your
Oh yeah.
standpoint
Yeah,
was.
I think
on
I
it.
would like that.
in the middle of that, like
Like, who do you
Him and
choose
his wife-
to watch? You're
him
gonna
and
have
his
to
wife.
split.
yeah, baseball,
It's all right. You'll fix it. You'll fix
I'm
yourself, don't you?
working
You're
on
working on it. You just said you had it.
baseball.
It's all right. You'll fix it. You'll fix
I'm
yourself, don't you?
working
You're
on
working on it. You just said you had a good round.
Yeah, followed by a bad one.
But I also, speaking of bringing it back to the book,
Bring it back to the book. Good idea.
but no, it was cool because I bet you can relate to Chris and CJ because they also played for a little bit in college.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
played for like what was it, like 13 seconds or something? They were on the court. At the
Yeah,
same
dude.
time.
I highlighted it. I said they had a really cool.
Oh, well,
like,
they didn't play together. They played each other.
against
Yep.
each other. He said, but I just highlighted this little passage right here. It said, but it wasn't about me and my game. It was about my brother, and I wanted him to be the best. And if I thought he was slighted by his coach or disrespected by another player, I would lose it. And crazy enough, he does the same thing to me in the NBA now, and it's been that way my whole career. Every now and then I tell him to sit his ass down. But he's basically like kind of saying whenever he was growing up, it was like he would watch his brother like get shafted at USC or whatever school he was going to,
Mm-hmm.
and like he would like feel that and like feel some type of way about it, and then like you can imagine now he's the one still playing in the NBA and his brother's like entirely flipped. And it's also just kind of cool for me because I'm like a more of a I don't try to be, but more of a surface level just basketball watcher than I knew. Like you don't know anything about these people's families because they're not really talked about.
Yeah.
So if you go like actually taking time to read about this, like I feel like I'm learning all this information that like I just didn't. I mean, I picked up the book to read it, but it's just like, wow, I didn't
Yeah.
expect to know all this stuff about this guy.
Hey, props to CJ being a good big bro and like actually kind of letting Chris get the the spotlight.
As an older
You
brother,
know,
man,
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's
and
gotta
then
be
like
tough,
still
right?
being supportive.
That's gotta be
like I
tough,
can
right?
feel like there's like there could be like an ego, and I'm
Right.
sure there was.
he said he
I'm
was
sure there
good.
was.
He said he was really good. Like that's the thing. It's not
Yeah.
even like he said he was bad. And I guess I'd have to see the pictures because Chris Paul's not that tall.
Nah.
So like,
Well, there's
so is he
there is a
dead? I know
photo.
there's some photos in there. Like,
Yeah.
I guess if you go and look at them, like, is there ever one where they're standing right next to each other? Yeah, I guess they are. So they're about the same height in this
Yeah.
photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're about the same height in this photo. So I guess I don't know. Maybe it was a killer instinct because he did say that, from his younger age, like they said, oh, this one's different.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
this kid's different, but Yeah, because it's not like Chris Paul's like 6'8" and or six,
Right,
you know,
it's not
something like
like-
that. He's like 6
yeah,
foot.
it's not like the bigger brother's like, oh, all right, well, didn't get the genetics on this one.
Because that's
Right.
me.
Didn't
Like
get the
I feel,
cards on this one.
dude, legitimately, I feel like if I had the genes of my brothers, just because I cared about sports more than they did, nothing more than that.
Would you rather? But now you
Oh,
have the
here we go.
thought. You have the thought though, since technically your cards didn't get played right when it comes to the height. Obviously, you have the
I
athletics.
love the way you phrase that. I love the way you phrase that. No, that's a good way to phrase it. That's like the nicest
But
phrasing I've
you
ever
got the
heard.
card. You have the card still in your DNA. You can still. You might be able to.
How?
You and.
Oh,
and
when
you're
you're a
like
kid.
your kid.
Yeah, exactly. No,
So-
I have real hope for that.
Right.
I have real hope for that.
Yeah.
I have to. My wife's not that tall, but she's not that short, so it's like it's on me.
She's pretty tall for.
I gotta carry.
girl,
Yeah,
yeah.
I gotta be carrying the gene. Yeah, man, I got.
That's right. Hey,
Might be there, bro.
you're
That's
gonna be
shafted.
you're gonna be sitting in the NBA and be like, "Yep, there's my son," and then you're sitting next to your brothers and you're like, "Yeah, well, your height's
I know, man. It's crazy.
you didn't use your height. I did."
Crazy.
Bro, that would be great.
But I actually did have a really good quote on page 135 from this chapter, and it was him saying about like the love of the game, and it was like, if you say you love anything but remain content knowing that there are people out there working harder than you on your craft, can you really say you love it? I was like, you sit back. Those are the quotes that you just kind of like, you like close the book and you just sit back and you're like,
yeah.
he's kind of right on
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, he's the same. He's the same successful person. He's a successful person that would be an example of the 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
They'd be like, this is somebody. You could point to people, and that's always kind of weird to be able to understand that. I also thought it was cool how he says he takes little Chris to like practice and games and like All-Star Weekend with him. Like
Mhm.
I was just thinking about that from a kid's standpoint,
Bro.
and I was like,
what
do
if
it for your kid, right? I guess that's what
well, no
that's
matter
what a lot of people try to do.
no
but-
matter what though, like the kid's life is going to be different from any other kid's life. Like,
right.
no matter what role or job or occupation you're doing,
Mhm.
that perspective, either you either live in a high life like that, and so your problems are completely different, and you have to handle them differently. I think he also speaks on that as well.
He
Yeah,
actually
later
he
on, yeah.
like 2 pages later he actually because he starts to get into some of that parenting stuff, and it's cool to see like from his perspective because like even on a minor scale, say he didn't make it to the NBA, he still thinks like a sports parent. So
Yeah.
like this stuff still translates to travel ball or like whatever you're gonna see. I feel like because he says trying to do my routine was not fun for little Chris. Whenever he would like take him and put him through his
Oh, that was when
workouts.
it's COVID.
Yeah, and he said I didn't want to go from being the reason why he wanted to play basketball to me not being the reason why he didn't want to touch a ball. So it was like during COVID, and it's like I wrote down a lot of parents don't have that foresight
Yeah.
to be like, I don't want to be the reason my kid don't want to touch a ball. They're in the entire 180. It's I'm the reason my kid's gonna touch a ball.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna touch a ball, and I mean they may hate it, and a lot of kids end up hating it, but don't they still go to the NBA hating it? Like that's never stopped a lot of kids. It's just not the best way to get there.
Yeah.
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 He
that's
he doesn't want
uh,
that. He doesn't want that.
What is it like when the parents living through the kid?
Yeah, exactly.
Vicariously.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the worst.
It is, bro. Because then it forces like.
Yeah.
I mean, I
It's
feel
the worst or best, right? I mean, it's got to be the kid's dream.
it's
Yeah.
such
yeah,
a
it's like
such a fine
oh
line.
god, it's such a
Mhm.
fine
'Cause, like,
line.
I think there's a difference between living through the kid and like pushing the kid.
Yeah.
It's like that he has the talents, but that's
it's
that's gonna
overwhelming,
be
bro.
that's gonna
Right.
be a crazy pivotal moment in the kid's life. I thought this was crazy that obviously you always hear like the parents always sacrifice everything,
Mhm.
but it sounds like his dad spent his entire
Yes.
401k savings
Oh my gosh.
on AAU basketball.
Yeah.
And then he kind of goes into I don't know if it's this chapter, but he kind of goes into that limelight of AAU basketball and the scene of like, hey,
It's not guaranteed.
it's not guaranteed and it's also a business. So
Mhm.
like, not only are there's millions of dollars around flying out these kids all over to get the tournaments, to get in front of these coaches,
Mhm.
but also like people like these parents got to spend the money.
Yeah.
And like I would hate to be in that position where my kids got the talent, but of the AAU,
You just
matter
don't.
what.
Yeah. Like you just don't.
Um,
Like you just don't have the money.
and you
to
don't have the
invest.
funds. It's
Yeah.
like,
No.
dang man, what do you do? What do you do in that case? Like I'd be
Gotta find
whew,
a sponsor
yeah.
or something.
And then it's also so cool just to bring it full circle where he's like, he spins it forward and goes like, so that's always one of my proudest moments when I could walk into the assembly line and tell him that my dad's days were over, he can retire.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's crazy to be able to sit there and just think about, honestly, because like you just said, I mean, the 401k, to have that much faith in, like, we can keep going. Okay, yeah. I mean, the 401k, like, that's just like such a leap of faith. Like, I mean,
Yes.
who does that? That's where I wrote down like in a different, hey, find the spot, buddy. I wrote down in a different way. Like, he just has Chris has just such a great community around him, because he says, like, he understands, and he's understood. A lot of parents don't have, a lot of people don't have a loving family
Right.
to even get along with, let alone, because, like, you can look at his situation and be like, they maybe didn't have too much, but whenever you can look at your own situation and be like, oh, I know people have way less. Like, I feel like that's like a huge thing, a huge way to be able to balance life. So moving on to chapter 9, we'll wait for him. He'll be back here in a minute, I'm sure, but this is, if you look right here,
Right.
this is where I finally realized it, dude.
Yeah.
I'm so dumb. No, this is where I realized it finally in the book. Like, I was just so engaged with the reading. I was like, okay. So
Oh,
now they're
same, bro.
back. Now they're back just talking about the
Was
game.
This wasn't halftime, was it?
Oh yeah, no, it
Is it?
was. It was halftime, because I highlighted on 152. I said, this is like a really heavy thought. He goes, so he had been balling. Everyone's telling him everyone's like telling him he's going crazy, and he had predetermined that he wasn't coming out of this game, right? He had told his coach, like, hey, just leave me in extra this time. Like, no matter what, like, I'm just gonna do this game. I'm gonna play it the right way for Papa. So he's sitting there and he's balling at halftime, and then all of a sudden this thought creeps into his head, and he goes, why'd you wait so long to put on a show like this, Chris? You could have been doing this all along. Now keep going. And I was like, that is like the one thought. I'm like, that's maybe the one thought you got to avoid. Like,
Right.
in my head, like, if I was wanting to not feel something in that moment, that's a heavy thought,
Yeah, bro.
right? All right, so that was the end of our reading for the first block. Now we're
Yes.
on to the second half of it, so we'll keep flying through this one. This is chapter 10, Don't Cheat the Deeks.
This one was good.
This is a great chapter.
Yeah.
Started talking a little bit more about this was actually crazy for me, because like I said, I can't believe how much of this book is just like touching so many of my interests.
Yeah.
Because now they start talking about his whole Wake Forest, North Carolina debacle.
Mhm.
And I'm a huge North Carolina fan. So, like, dude, I could not believe that he even says, like, growing up in North Carolina, I was a diehard Tar Heel fan. Despite all the attention I was getting, that's where my heart still was at the time. So, like, I put on this, like, there's an alternate reality out there where Chris Paul goes to the Tar Heels. And since he's on the Tar Heels, I automatically just love him, because that's my team. So then I would have been a CP3 fan all throughout his career. And I can't, and then now I'm trying to imagine if that would have made me not like Steph Curry as much, because they always had to go back and forth. I don't know, man. That alternate reality's got me going crazy.
Yeah, bro.
That was nuts.
That would have been crazy.
At the bottom, I thought he had kind of a cool story where he's talking about how he even had a cousin that dated an NBA All-Star, Jerry Stackhouse, that was
Yeah.
on the team. Like, growing up in and around that's something I just can't relate to. Like, I just can't relate to, like, being around in a college town, being around, like, because, like, we would travel to, like,
Gosh, I can't even remember his name right now. It's so crazy. But he went to the University of Florida, and I used to watch him when I was in middle school. This dude, his name was I know his name's Pat, but I forgot his last name.
Okay.
But bro, he used to go crazy.
it was nasty.
Dunking everything, like every single thing. If he gets near the lane, it's a dunk every single time. But
Now imagine your cousin's dating him.
right, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like, just dating him, because this guy's an end story. Like, because he even said, like, before he knew it, like he went over there to the house one time, and the dude was just like making a sandwich,
right.
and he got to get in there and was just chopping up basketball with, like, oh, this kid's got basketball IQ of a college player at 7.
Mhm.
Like, you can just tell, like, it just peaks there. And Stackhouse even got drafted to the 76ers,
Yep.
and then, like, sent his whole team feelers, sent, like, Chris Paul's whole team feelers and stuff like that, just from that, like, connection. So,
Yeah.
like, I was like, man, that's kind of a crazy little story there.
Sorry about that. We had some roof guys coming, so we're trying to fix a leak.
We're just trying to keep the roof over our head.
Yep. But Yeah. So where'd you guys get to?
We're up on page 158ish is where we're at
158,
last.
was that like chapter
last-
10?
Yeah, chapter 10.
Mhm.
Talking about the, I told him, I'm like, this is where it really intertwines with my Wake Forest, North Carolina chapter. I was like, this book is like all over the place. I told him that Chris Paul grew up a North Carolina fan and always wanted to go there. And I said, there's an alternate reality where I could have just been a Chris Paul fan my whole life.
Yeah.
I would have been.
Yeah, you would have.
And how would that have affected my Steph Curry fandom? It had me thinking,
Ooh.
right?
Wow.
Everything affects everything.
Can you imagine? You not a Steph Curry fan, but a Chris Paul fan? Oh,
This
man.
whole time.
You'd be like, Steph Curry's okay, but now they got Chris Paul and the Warriors. Dude, they're going to go.
I'm
That's
telling you.
crazy. I
telling
did. I actually really did like this chapter,
Yeah.
especially just like the recruiting
Yes,
behind
bro.
it.
Yes.
I thought it was so interesting how like them visiting and like UNC blowing him off, and he's like, "Come on, like I got literally letters from everywhere." And then it's finally on his birthday he gets a UNC letter, but he's like, "Nah, you missed your chance."
Right.
I thought it was really interesting just hearing about like how personalized Wake Forest did with Chris
The
Paul. And I'm
letters.
Right,
sure,
man. And
Yeah,
they do
bro.
that with so many different recruits.
Yeah.
And just think about all the ones that still don't choose them.
bro, I can't imagine how it is now when you're like a high
Oh,
DN.
yeah.
It's so different because now there's money on the
All
line.
big recruits, like these boosters, man, it's crazy. They wine and dine you like no other now. Like I that's what I cannot imagine. I can't imagine what that does to your head.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like almost like it just gives me more respect for these guys because like
Hours
Yeah.
going through and writing all these personalized recruits, handwritten letters.
sidebar to that. I did not know that's what coaching was. Start off at high school. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna go to college? Am I gonna do this and that? Whenever you're brainstorming,
Mm-hmm.
no way. No way,
You don't
dude.
like the
You
recruitment
have to do
process?
all kinds of crazy stuff. I just say they don't love that. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
Like you have to do it. It's part of the job.
Well, I mean, yeah, because like how else are you gonna convince some of these talented players to
Yeah.
come to your school?
it's the only
like,
way.
Yeah, because it's a double-edged sword. It's like, hey, you got to put in this work to get the players that then you can work for, in hopes that they do well.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's a lot.
Yeah, bro.
High pressure.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was so interesting just hearing like the
Speaking of the
Yeah,
AAU
experience.
scene, like you were saying, like I thought it was cool how he said he matched up against that one really good squad that had those.
oh
Like,
yeah, and the
yeah.
underdogs.
Yeah, and a few names started of all the national attention I received from then on out. So I was
Yeah.
like, that was his big break.
His breakout game.
That was
Yep.
his big break. Because I was kind of curious if athletes themselves sometimes like can pinpoint a spot. Because if you watch these podcasts, like I do, so you probably don't. But like if you watch these podcasts and stuff like that, where they're doing interviews and interviewing athletes, it's like the take 5 questions, and one of them's always, when did you think you were a NBA
Mhm.
player? Like
Mhm.
when did you start to realize it? And he says like that's when he started getting all the attention and stuff like that. So. But he did say the one place I wasn't hearing from though was UNC. I don't know what more I had to do.
Yeah, bro. That's crazy.
I dropped the ball.
Somebody better gotten fired.
And then so AAU Nationals for basketball, they always have it at the Disney. What is this?
Oh, Universal.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh,
called.
World of Sports or whatever.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. This
Yeah,
bro.
that sports complex is.
It's
Have you been there?
Yeah,
Insane,
it's super
bro.
nice.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's
No, I don't,
yeah,
I
it
don't
was
even know what
really-
you're talking
It
about.
was really fun to play there.
Bro.
You
when-
played there?
Yeah, played there for
What?
baseball. Yeah,
we
it was
went
sick.
for
This guy.
basketball. Like they even have another gym in Kissimmee. It's like 3 different courts, but the one in Kissimmee looked like it looked like a real like live arena.
NBA, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. But the main one where everybody played, I think it's called the Milk House or something like that. Bro, there's so many people there. So many different teams, and like there was kids from like China coming. That was the first time I saw a 7-foot human being ever in my life.
Really?
Yeah, this team from China came through. The kid was 7'5".
Jesus.
Like he's just walking.
This.
You'd be a good janitor.
Yeah, man. That's
Oh
the-
my god.
those top corners, those cobwebs. like,
Everything, bro.
Man,
Oh
this
my
guy
gosh.
destined to be a janitor.
but
bro.
That's
yeah,
tough.
That
no,
was
that's
crazy.
wild.
I can't imagine that though. Your foot, like, because I remember the first time we showed up and played like a team that was much bigger than us, and it was not no 7'5".
Yeah, bro.
So like,
7'5".
Dude,
that's crazy.
Hey, side note, like when you walk up and you're playing a team, other opponents, and they're like nasty
Yeah.
and they're like massive.
And you
That like
know.
that fear, that little drip of sweat that just ran down your back. You're
Bro,
like,
we were
"Damn,
there. We were
dude."
always that. Be me. It is way different walking up to a stacked basketball squad compared to like looking at what would maybe be a
Trust.
stacked baseball squad.
Bro.
Dude, I played both sports growing up, and my team, we were all honestly pretty good in both sports. So basketball, or baseball, like, show up, like both teams got the eye black, some teams got the whatever, but it's just baseball. Get on the diamond, you go. Basketball, it's about how you walk in.
Oh yeah, bro.
Dude, we just show up in like our gym shorts or whatever. This team's with
they got the
sponsored
tracksuits and
Beats by
shit.
Dre.
Yeah.
The Nike Elite Jump,
Yep.
like, and we're both about to play on the same court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro. I remember that.
Dude,
was-
you remember those days,
We
man?
played at.
I was not one time on the team walking in with the jumpsuits.
Yeah, bro. The
Nope.
team camp at University of Florida, we got beat by like 60 this game. The guys came, you could tell like the way they walked in, they were just
I
like
hate that.
they all had the brand new
Fudge.
the Hypermax Nikes, all different colors, bro. You just knew,
Yeah.
like you just saw them and you're just,
That's
yeah,
like-
they're about to
Straight
kill us.
from
We're the
Portland, Oregon.
underdog on
Yeah.
this one.
You can just tell sometimes. So
Straight from Portland, from
Yeah,
the
bro.
warehouse.
Yeah.
crazy.
Fresh Nikes.
Moving on, chapter 11,
Yeah, move on.
community. This one was really cool. This was a cool
Yeah.
chapter. I liked. I didn't really get anything highlights on it, but it showed a bunch of photos of
Yeah.
like Chris throughout his
Yeah.
life and like his his grandpa next to his gas station and just his family and overall and
Kind of colors everything that you've been reading,
Yeah.
You can at least put some faces
exactly
together.
Yeah, little
So much of his time, energy, and money into the church, and in turn, he never lacked for customers. They were always there for him. Community is a two-way street, and if you have to give to get, and if you have to give and get, what did it say? And you have to give and get to really make the most out of it. So I put down like, and he invested a ton, just like investments,
Yeah.
he received a lot in return.
yeah
Like, I think that's cool, and I think that's the way, right? That's the way it probably should be. Is
yeah
this guy's investing in all these people in return, like get 1 million customers. It's just saying it's just kind of how that stuff works. So
yeah
that's-
and
I like that.
I think it also shows like you don't have to like do a lot outside your community to be fruitful
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
like make the wealth. Like there's already so much wealth around you. You just gotta actually invest into it and make the connections. Who knows? Like your
You
neighbor
need to-
could be this big hot shot that wants to invest in your company or whatever. You
Yeah.
just never know.
We need
Exactly.
people doing both. We
Yeah.
need
Oh,
plenty of
yeah.
people. Need plenty of people doing both, and I feel like it is almost less noble to do it for your community. Like more people are just like, what can I go get compared to what can I do for what's around me. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like that's something. But
Moving on to chapter 12. I think this is the one where he talks about George raised, but like almost
I don't know if it was
because there was the
necessarily
one guy that was the
close, maybe.
vet, but I thought George was the dude that was like, oh, he's gonna be a nobody.
Yeah.
I like how the chapter opened because it's titled "Social Responsibility," and he goes, "If you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together." And he says it's an African proverb, and it kind of sets up that story that you were talking about. Because I think that's I think that quote works perfect because sometimes you almost need to do either or,
Mm-hmm.
but don't forget either or. Like sometimes you got to go fast, but if you want to, I mean, you don't want to just go fast because you're not gonna have anyone there to enjoy it with. But
Yeah.
yeah, that story with the it's just another story
Yeah,
that it
just-
kind of adds to.
yeah, Papa was a good dude, and
Yeah.
anyone he touched or mentored and stuff like.
Also shows
Did
know
well.
those skills can be taught, which is something that college doesn't want you to know.
Oh
But-
right, you're right. You can't dismiss anyone.
Yeah.
Even at their turning point, if you think they're really bad at it, as long as they bring in the hard work, at the end of the day, like they're gonna be successful.
Not to dim the light on this, but he just doesn't talk about it. I wonder how many times he tried to do something that went wrong.
Yeah.
Oh,
true.
from Papa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, hey,
Like his failed
this guy, no,
attempts?
like this guy's he's a good guy stole a car.
Yeah.
Or he's a good guy, like, I don't know. I'm just curious because, right, this is a great book and I don't want to shine light on that, but it's just like,
True.
that would even shed more light on the fact that, hey, man, he got burnt. It wasn't sunshine
Yeah.
and it couldn't have been sunshine and rainbows all the time. He did, I guess, give you the small little pushback he got
Mhm.
from the other gas station owner.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I mean, I'm just curious as to if
Like,
there
through
if
his
there was like
employees.
some other extra stories that kind of
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
talk
sure
about
he
that.
could
I don't
write
know, right,
another 2-3 books just about Papa.
for sure.
The way he's doing it. Chapter 13, the game. Back onto the game. Another short one, just about him. Just kind of progressing through the game. Really.
I had one thing that I wanted to bring up just because I thought this is kind of funny. So not fair for this team that they had to play Chris Paul that night.
Oh
Alright.
yeah.
Do you ever think about that? Like, it's
Yeah.
always that you don't want to get this team. Oh, they're gonna be pissed off a loss. You don't want the whoever after a loss, because it goes. Parkland's defense was lost, confused, visibly defeated. I never really played during a blowout, so normally in this situation, we'd just be maintaining the lead and getting other teammates some playing time. But that night, I couldn't help it. I just wrote down the team that had to play him that night. ... Like,
Yeah, bro.
man, that's tough.
Do you think
There.
Oh,
Because he
okay.
could have done it, bro.
Oh, okay, right. I figured he could have done it. I thought he just missed the free throw to do it, and that kept it tied. Wait a
don't
second.
know. Was it? It might.
that's
thought
what
it
I
was-
swear it said?
Well, hold up,
67
because
in
I thought
here.
it was 61 just because I
I
thought
thought
he
it was 62.
I thought he
We got
missed
so
the
many
free throw
different
on
numbers.
purpose.
Yeah, he definitely
But
did.
his last attempt, he airballed it, probably
Yeah.
missing from the foul line before he exited the game, accomplishing what he set out to do. He only wanted to score straight. Maybe, but I don't know. We'd have to
61
look
could have
it
been
up.
Papa's.
I don't
want
want
to
to
go-
go. It could have been his
Yeah.
age, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why you airball. Yeah,
I'm sure they'll follow back up on it
Yeah.
once we actually finish the game at the end of the
who
book.
knows? Yeah, we're getting close.
Chapter 14, very interesting chapter. I like this
Excellent.
one.
Yeah, I know.
Rest
I
in
like this
peace.
one because it was about Kobe
Mamba.
and just like hearing the whispers of how they almost became teammates the
Yeah.
entire time.
You got to open the
remember
chapter.
that,
You
bro.
got to here before we do that. You got to open it up with a quote.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything negative, pressure challenges is an opportunity for me to rise. Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality, dude. Isn't that crazy
Yeah, bro.
that they almost played together?
I just remember
like-
like hearing all that stuff on ESPN, like just
Oh,
how
the
close.
accident. Oh
Yeah.
no, the
No, how close they were to being like teammates.
what was the reason why it didn't go through?
I don't even know.
Was
bro.
it? Oh
So
no,
I-
no. There was
Right.
the league commissioner.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Oh, yeah, he-
David
he
Stern,
said no,
he
yeah.
Yeah, he
shut
said
it
no.
down. It's one of the few times that's happened because no one owned the team in New Orleans. So like, if you made that trade happen, Chris, it's kind of
What do you
sad.
mean
Like
no one owned the team?
It
there
was-
wasn't.
There
So
wasn't an owner.
yeah,
Yeah.
so the guy who owns the what are they? The Hornets, the Pelicans were. Now they're the Pelicans.
Yes.
They were the Hornets at that time.
Mhm.
Also owns the football team. So
Oh,
like
okay.
made the Pelicans almost have to go out of existence. Shut it down for like the benefactor of the league.
Wow.
And then he ended up
That
getting
would've been
traded to the
crazy.
Clippers so that the Clippers could, because I guess what that trade was going to be wasn't going to suffice. So, and they didn't want that to
Wow,
happen.
what
So
a
he went to
move.
so he went to LA still. That's what's crazy to me.
Yeah.
He just went to the
just
Clippers.
other
Yeah.
LA.
He went to because like that feels so weird. Like you're in the same city you thought you were playing with Kobe. Like something on
Like
it.
a review.
Yeah,
of
like
it?
a review on it maybe or something like that. But he's going.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. So he's going. He told me that the other day that he's going out there to like once that stadium's done, he's gonna do it. But
That's sick.
yeah. But anyways, like I thought that was crazy. Where they could have played on the same team, but instead he ends up in the same city anyways, playing against Kobe. Like that had to be so weird.
They did. Kobe's out there just already has like a mid sweat, like he's been out there for 2 hours already.
Have you guys watched the Redeem Team doc?
Yes.
No.
It's documented in there
Yeah.
about that happening.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's crazy.
everyone talk like it's cool because Chris Paul talks about it, but so does LeBron, Dwayne
Yeah.
Wade.
I've heard
All-
I've heard stories
yeah.
of Kobe.
All those
doing
guys,
that.
they just kind of talk about that moment that he's talking about in this book, where it's like I think they'd even lost a game or something like that too, and like they were looking for who's going to step up and be the leader, and then it was Kobe. They had to
Yeah.
call in Kobe because he wasn't even on the team.
Yeah, bro, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Because they came, and then like another one was they came in. Hello was telling this one, they were coming in from a night out, and it was like almost 4 a.m. basically, and they walked past, and he's in the gym, like working out
That dude loved basketball, man.
on a different level, like completely obsessed with the game.
Yeah.
Tried to figure
That's
out. He
so
was just trying to figure out what he could do.
Yeah,
That's
He was
crazy.
doing a lot.
he was.
He was doing a lot.
But
Moving on.
yeah, I had a good
Oh,
quote on
sorry.
that. I had a good quote on 198.
Nah, moving on.
But it says people always ask me what I do differently, and the answer is simple. Somewhere along the line, I learned to fall in love with the work. I love I love practice. I love weight training. I love being in the gym. And you see that with all the greats in any sport.
Hey, shout out 1% rule. Grab that, baby. We
Yeah.
should get subtle plug. Fall
Right.
in love with the work.
You have to.
He's actually grabbing it. Hey, can you reach it? If you can't reach it, don't worry about it. It's a
under-
little bit
It's
buried.
under a stack.
It's under too many other books.
It's a good.
Sorry,
that was a
guys.
good book though.
It
Yeah,
was.
but
It was great.
It reminds me of that. Just fall
Yeah,
in love with
that
the
book
work.
was literally just like hammering in that
Yeah.
quote
Yeah.
over
Every
and
day.
over and over.
Process.
Chapter 15, Team CP3, another kind of family. This was interesting. So now
Mhm.
this goes back onto the AAU scene of now Chris Paul, obviously, superstar at this point, and now is making his own AAU organization,
Mhm.
Team CP3. And now I'm sure you guys heard anything about his team? Is his team good, or
Yeah.
is there scene?
I mean, they compete on the highest circuit, the Nike EYBL. So he's got a bunch of talented guys on that team
That's
every year.
crazy.
So
And he's talked about producing a few
He did.
NBA athletes.
Mhm.
But the one thing that I drew from that chapter early was just the landscape of it and how much it had to have changed. Because he says, because he even talks about, like, I got an innocent opportunity to fall in love with the game of basketball while training with my dad and playing one-on-one against CJ. It's a little harder on kids today because as soon as their talent is recognized, people who want to take advantage come out and woodwork from every angle, hungry with their own agenda. AAU basketball used to be so pure, but now there are a lot of other factors at play, and not everyone's motives are solid. And I said, I can't imagine then even versus now.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's what he was saying. I mean,
It's like
he kind of colors that a little bit there.
3
but,
years
like,
ago, yeah.
yeah, but, like, whenever he was playing, 20, 30 years ago, and like, how much, you'd have to go to those things probably to develop the talent. But now you can, like, he talks about search on YouTube someone's highlights.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey,
Oh,
we're just
yeah,
going to go
watch
fly
film.
out. Let's go fly out and
Yeah.
see if it's worth taking that kid away from his family
Mhm.
to come and train here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's crazy. Send kids to IMG, right? It's right up the
Yeah.
road here.
Yeah.
Like, so, I mean, that's a
Such
level of
different league.
parenting I don't think I could do. I don't think that's for me. Like, like,
I don't know.
like for your kid, right? I mean, obviously, let your kid be your kid, but like, what, I want to be the best
Such a-
athlete ever. Like, I want to go
It's
leave
a
and train.
balance. It's a balance.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
you
Where do
know?
you step in there?
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah.
Because, like, I feel like that's tough. Like, someone comes to you, right,
But
and
if
says
you-
your kid might be the next Nolan Ryan. Will you let me take him to go train?
Yeah, I think so.
You,
Now, there's like, yes, I would, but, he needs time off,
Yeah.
that's a that's a good
It's-
that's a good mindset to have. Because honestly, I don't know where I'm at with that.
Right,
Like,
like,
because how much, I don't know. Is that not relinquishing control to your kid? Just being like, oh, whatever they
is.
want to do, they can
Yeah.
do. Well, do they want to do drugs?
right. No, you gotta,
Well, so I mean, obviously those are far ends of the spectrum examples, but like
but
at
it's
the same time, like,
same decision.
yeah, what do you,
Yeah.
like, I was just curious about that because,
Yeah, because I mean, at that point, they're young adults. I mean, it's gonna be,
yeah,
they're not gonna be recruiting 12, 13-year-olds. They're gonna be 17,
I mean,
16, 17.
You never know.
No,
bro.
that's what
but
I'm
like,
ta-
not,
I'm
not
talking-
like
I'm
pulling
talking-
away from the family
There's
for
I'm talking
You
like
think?
pre-high school.
Are they really?
I'm
I
talking
know
middle.
for a
middle
fact-
school. They're
yes.
flying
No,
out
that's a-
middle schoolers around.
That's where we're at now. What are you talking about? Because
Yes.
if anyone's doing that, then everyone has to do it,
Yeah, bro.
right?
They're doing it.
Dude, if anyone's
literally
doing it,
doing it.
everyone has to do it. Because otherwise, of course, you're not going to be as good as the kid who's been training. Half the kids, but the elite ones are going to make it all the way
See,
through.
I'm just thinking like, when I circuit.
This 6-foot kid is good. That's what I'm saying. I'm only doing that for like Kevin Durant, a unicorn. It's
Right. Like,
you just got to be okay.
yeah,
At
At
like
6 foot tall, you got to be point guard.
Yeah.
yeah, like you gotta be because like that's a lot of money we're talking. Investing at like a 12, 13-year-old. You see that now. You see that now with people and
Yeah.
kids like that. It's like, yeah, my kid's great. It's like, yeah, he's good for 12, but like
Right.
he doesn't need all this new stuff and traveling around the country for that. Like you could do that good, and like he's got that rep.
Oh, like who it's coming from.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I almost would trust
Okay.
that a little bit more.
Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's
know,
fair.
'Cause
Yeah,
it's
because
like-
then at that point, it's almost like, oh, you really think so? Opinion's tied to what I think about my kid too, because I'm doing a little bit this based off of you telling me you think he's gonna make it there. It's like, hey, Chris Paul, you better come train with this kid too, because You're telling me he's gonna go there. I don't want him to know.
Oh, you think he's good? Fine. How about we work out a deal where you get a little percent of his signing bonus?
Yeah, you just gotta
Have
get in
you-
there.
That's a thing for baseball in Dominican Republic. A lot of these kids will train with these coaches.
And it's bad, dude.
Sign, they get their cut.
Dude, have you seen that stuff though? Because
Yeah.
like then,
Wow.
because then
I
you
didn't
end
know
up
that.
getting to the MLB, and yeah, like he's saying, like different people will sign off for different stuff and let you train for free, and then you got 19 different people taking cuts of your game check, because it's like, they
trained
signed,
you.
they trained you, so like they own a
Jeez.
portion
think-
of your game check now.
I think that is fair, but like obviously there's
Well,
people
because
that are
because
gonna
all the people that
overdo
they
it.
do it for free for, like
Mhm.
they don't make, like you got to know what you're walking into, because it's set up perfect for the person that's
Yeah.
doing it. Because as long as you know you're making enough money, like it's almost like awful, because the only way you actually make money is if someone has to get ripped off.
Yeah. Well,
Not ripped off, but ripped off.
It just needs to be
Ish.
a fair enough deal. It's
Fair
just
enough
like
deal.
it's like dividends, and like if
Mhm.
you're investing in a stock, it's just like, hey, I'm not asking for 10%. I'm asking for 1,
Right.
Mhm.
but it's for your
10%
entire
of
career.
Right, of someone's entire lifestyle while you're going. Yeah, I mean,
You
but
know,
it's a
just gotta
profession,
be
I
fair.
guess.
Yeah.
I guess it's just a profession at that
But
point.
yeah, man, some of these but like that brings it back to like, yo, they're young, like they don't know, and they're getting all this money.
That's
Mhm.
that's the
They
issue.
just
with it.
don't
That's the issue with college
Yeah.
to varying degrees.
like they're
It's
gonna be
like trying to
signing some
make-
crazy deals, and it's like that's why you need that team, the
Yeah.
lawyers and stuff, just to oversee.
Yep. But they don't. I mean, they don't teach that.
No,
So it's
Oh,
that's. I mean,
systematic.
Yeah, exactly.
Systematic.
I mean, would you want your kid be focusing on that or just focusing on playing the sport?
It's up to them. That's
They're
I'm,
that
I'm
good.
like
Like,
slowly
don't
getting
worry
to
about
that.
it.
Yeah.
Don't like, hey, that's what I'm here for. That's why like
And you let us know.
204, like that's why his
Exactly.
mom is still the former banker and still does all the accounting and handles all the paperwork and books
Mhm.
all the flights for the AAU team. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But like that's why I think you need to have that team.
That's cool.
You have to, literally, bro.
It's just beneficial, right? It's just kind of what we try and do. If you have friends that
Yeah.
have skills that
Mhm.
plug into
Name's
my,
L,
I would
right?
not have reacted like that. if
right?
that's what
So
you
like
meant.
your name's L, so like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
sons would be another L name.
Yeah. No, I mean, I had thought about that. I'm more worried about picking a name that I like, I feel like, than what the acronym's going to be.
How's that been going with you, Miguel? Have you gotten a name yet?
We figured out a name.
How long
I
did it
just
take?
can't. It was our second. No, it was our first choice. Both of us. It was
Oh, really?
crazy. Yeah. She told me, and I was
What
like,
what went into it? Like, what were the boundaries that you were going for? No,
Just-
nothing really. Just
We're
anything
just,
that like.
you're like banging
we're-
stuff. You're like,
so-
that's a
but-
kind of cool
yeah,
name.
were you just like saying? Were you just like saying names out loud, or you didn't have
We
like
wrote
it
a
needs to
list.
not be? Okay, you had.
We
Did
a
you
had a-
Google or?
she had a list.
Okay.
No, she started off the top of her head, just wrote a list. I'm like, I see 2 names on there that I would love to have on
Oh.
for our
Oh.
child. So
There you go. Well, I guess it's that
And then,
simple.
and then what? Did she pick one of the two, or
no,
did you settle
we,
on one?
We agreed on.
You agreed on one?
Well, really, it was like the 2 we were gonna just go like first name, middle name.
Oh, you are
with
doing
those
middle?
2. Yes.
I know some people don't
Yeah,
do
just
middles.
skip it. No, we're
Oh,
gonna-
they're
we're gonna
skipping
do a
middle names now.
Yeah, people. Yeah.
My fiance doesn't have one.
I mean, they don't ask for it anywhere. It's almost more convenient, but I
Yeah.
feel like you need a
they,
middle
they,
name.
they can put it on your passport.
I feel like you need a
Yeah,
middle name.
that's yeah.
You have that's why it's got to be optional. It's like you get there, it's like requires middle name. It's like, oh my god,
Would you
Bro,
be
I
okay?
don't got one.
Hey, would you be okay if your wife chose the first name but you got the middle?
No,
No.
no, that is not the same thing. Oh yeah, congrats. Now we're having fights throughout our entire marriage about what name they're gonna go by. Oh yeah, because I got friends that go by their middle name.
Yeah.
So it's like then it's gonna be like who picks the better name.
There
The
you
other
go.
person's
Yeah.
gonna
You're
be.
just convincing
Yeah,
the kid.
remember we thought Justin was a good name. Dumb name.
Oh my gosh,
He goes by Luke. His name's Justin Luke.
There
bro.
you go.
It's hilarious.
Imagine.
Oh man, I can't wait to see how this plays out though.
But all right.
I can't wait to know. It's gonna be
Getting
excited
back on
to know.
the book. Oh, I thought this was crazy on 216. Bro, he's close friends with the CEO of Disney.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's just crazy. Like once you hit that level of like
Bro,
connection, you're
Yeah.
like, what?
Bro, he was name dropping people like crazy. He said another. I'm gonna jump you back to 207 really quick. He was saying another means of basketball development is he was like he wanted to work on HBCU programs and stuff like that. And I said like, or actually I just wanted to like just talk about this for a second, because he says a goal of his was just like to get some of the top talent to go to HBCUs and stuff like that. And I think it's kind of cool that you're seeing Coach Prime start to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like kind of going to Jackson State, he kind of started to put the stamp about like that happening. And
then he
so
got pulled.
and then with Chris Paul not graduating all the way from Wake Forest, he decided to go back and get his degree from Winston-Salem, which is a HBCU. So I was like, I like that he has that ties, or at least because it's just not broadcasted very much. So I feel like it is cool whenever they get the chance to talk about that.
Yeah, because I mean that's through and through. Like this entire book, he's just been like that. So
100%.
yeah, it's definitely him and his identity. Yeah, it's just so crazy how many connections. Like I just realized like once you get up to those levels.
Yeah, bro.
You're like, there's not a lot of people that can relate to you.
Bro, that's
like you are just talking to CEOs because like they understand the pressure and stuff like that.
this upcoming album 444. I was like,
like what?
I was like, whatever, man.
Bro,
How are you ever gonna make a wrong choice in life?
All connected.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're all connected somehow.
Yeah.
In
dude.
one way, they've had dinner and they're like, yeah, let's exchange numbers. Oh, you have this business idea? Hit me up anytime.
Yeah.
Dude, and in another way, it's like they're all work to me, I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, we could
bro.
talk about that or we could not. But like, if you got Jay-Z on the team, you're telling me it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
How can you fail?
It's gonna not work. Okay.
Yeah, bro.
Okay.
Your net worth is your network.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, that could have been a quote at the beginning of this chapter.
And Chris Paul's net worth
Yeah.
via
That's
his
the
network is
yeah.
billions.
That's
Yeah.
the retroactive quote for this chapter. I like that.
Also at the very end, so we kind of witness how he breaks it down to his kids, announcing that we're going to Houston and stuff like that. And then I thought this was super interesting. So he does the Houston route, then he goes to Oklahoma City, and then he's instead of uprooting his life, because they did uproot from LA to Houston, and then they went back, and then he went to the Thunder. And so then he lives on his own,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was super interesting for the season.
Yep.
That's crazy. And, like, I'm sure they flew out
Yeah.
all the time. But, like, I mean, I'm sure that, as these kids are getting older, it's like, hey, I got
They're in
this,
school.
that, I got school. I got games on the weekend. Dad, I can't come see you.
The basketball season's the whole school season. Where you were talking about how he's breaking it down to his kids. How do you balance, like, how do you create balance within their lives of like rich, not just to put it blatantly, rich and poor, and like falling in the middle, like having a great appreciation for all the stuff you have, not being greedy but still being okay to want more, but not feeling like you're asking for too much. But like I couldn't imagine that as a kid. Like, you don't want them to be too spoiled. You don't want to just, hey, you got to work for or some parents are just like a few parents, I think who is it? I want to say it's Shannon Sharp. Like, some people that have money are just like, this is my money. Like, I'm going to help you when you need help.
Yeah.
Of course. This is my money. Like, it is Shannon Sharp. He's like me.
Yeah.
Like, it's gone when I'm gone.
I think
So-
Shaq did the same thing.
Yeah,
Or
I
Shaq-
think so.
Was,
Same,
no,
yeah.
was it Shaq or was
No,
it
it is.
I think it's Shaq.
It
What's
is
the other one?
100%.
Not Charles
Shaq.
Barkley.
No, Wheel of Fortune. What's his name?
Wait
Steve
a
Harvey.
second.
Steve Harvey.
Oh.
Not Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Family
He's-
Feud.
Dude, he said Wheel of Fortune. I was just like, okay, so you're talking about two entirely different cats.
No, where they're like, no, this is my money. Like, they're not getting a
Yeah.
cent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey's definitely said that multiple
Has
times.
he said that? I don't
Yeah.
know too much about him,
so
but
He
that's
said
funny.
it
It's like,
multiple
Yeah,
times.
this is me
Hilarious.
and Miss Harvey's money.
Yeah.
It's
And
hilarious.
he's like, I'm gonna spend it how I want to spend it.
Yeah.
He does too.
But
That's hilarious. But yeah, I know. I just thought like, just that'd be
they're not gonna see that work that it took to get to the 1 million. So you almost have to put that in perspective.
Yeah.
Because like $1,000, giving them $1,000 doesn't have the same effect. It almost probably has the same effect as them getting $10
Yeah.
to someone else. So like you just gotta try to ingrain that mindset. Like it has more value than it seems.
that's where I think coupling that just with like what he talks about this entire book, which I think I already have it on the back of my biggest takeaways, is ingraining respect at a young age. I think
Yeah.
that would be like the first thing, like just not the people, the word. Respect money,
Yeah.
respect time, respect,
Mhm.
you know, relationships, respect like if you can respect this, if you can understand that you're not going to be respectful all the time and you can point when you're not being respect, like if you can understand it a little bit, I feel like that's something that Papa was just like on them about
Yeah.
constantly, just the someone's not respectful to you, but even being like that's they got a clear view as to what that kind of looked like.
Yeah. And also, like, yeah, I think when it comes to the money, like, have your kids almost make that money.
Mhm.
Be like, all right, yeah, I could give you $1,000, but I want you to work and see how, like, you have to make yourself $1,000 out of nothing. And be like, oh, like, it took, you know, it takes one couple stuff like that. They're like, yeah, see?
It takes time.
It takes time.
But moving on, we're coming down to it.
We're getting
Chapter
there.
16, we're flying. Doing good on time, too. 16, glorious day. This was when he signed at Wake Forest. I thought that was really cool.
Short chapter because it ends awful.
Oh,
Short
yeah.
chapter, it ends awful, man. The way he sets up his stories and stuff like that, though, like I really do like it. Obviously, it's a bad time to bring it up for this lead into stuff. Like he earlier on, he was saying like, "Oh yeah, me and CJ, we love playing each other. We were always the best time on the court, except for that one time
Mhm.
Yeah.
because they were about to play." So he's sitting there and he's like, you know, he had just gone. It's the setup, man.
The Cinderella
Dude,
story.
Dude, this is where it's just like, I gotta understand because I'm not whoever I think I am because I'm not a person that can deal with this.
Mhm.
This scenario, mentally, I can't deal with it if it like playing it out in my own head right now for my own life.
You think you would sign for USC?
No,
Or you would,
I
you would
think I
sign?
would absolutely crumble at what happened, dude.
Oh yeah.
Read the last line. So I think that like reading
Oh.
this chapter is what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I
So I
see.
was
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, they're going to watch like their preseason game, one of their openers for the season, because he signed early, so he still had like a year of high school
That's
left.
right. That's
So
this
he's going to
chapter.
watch the game. He's going to watch the game. I think they had even won. He said he doesn't even remember if they won actually, but
He signs.
they're going to leave.
Yeah,
They're
and then
walking out. He had
him
watched it
and
with his papa, just him and papa, and he said it was even super weird because normally the whole family goes and stuff like that, but this time was different, just him and papa. He was leaving. They were going off. Said, "Call me when you get home." And he said he hit the horn in affirmation, and I waved him again. Continued down the block, and I had no idea that would be the last time that I would ever see him. And I was just like, man, like that.
It's like it's bittersweet for him. Like you get that glory of like signing,
Yeah.
and then there's a loss that happens. So it's like I don't know. It's always a circle. Even like last week told you guys my situation, but like that happened and then my fiance's cousin twins were born.
Wow. Yeah.
That's
It's
right.
just like a roller
It's
coaster.
a cycle of life.
And I like
Yeah.
that, dude. Like, there's nothing, and I like, I'm religious, and I have hope after like death. But
Mhm.
like at the same time, there is nothing that I can use in the moment.
Yeah.
Like in the moment,
Well, it's good to grieve.
Right.
You know,
It's good to
grief is
grieve,
good.
right.
Yeah.
It's good to grieve, but like it's just like a fear.
Yeah.
Like it's just a
Mhm.
present. Like just like man, and at the same time to flip it, respect.
Yeah.
Like anyone who like goes through that and keeps going, it's like, wow, like didn't realize we were that strong as humans to
Mhm.
be able to. And I mean, you see it on much worse scales than someone passing away, like someone getting murdered, someone
Mhm.
like
Yeah, like
But, like,
tragic.
yeah, but like
Yeah.
at the same time, it just kind of that is something that I do not love. So I thought like just seeing him be on that mountaintop and then trying to reason or like trying to understand something like that happening, I couldn't do it. Couldn't understand it. That's tough.
Yeah, man, I can.
That's tough. But yeah, there we go. So Papa is officially passed off after that last chapter. He moves on to chapter 17, build a leader.
Yep. And he goes through his college experience, eating IHOP,
Oh my gosh,
would just
dude.
kill
Yeah,
IHOP,
just
pigs
like
in a
everybody.
blanket.
One of the boys.
Right.
He bad diet like everyone else. It makes you wonder, like, shouldn't these guys be super freaks if they're eating lettuce from 9 months? Like,
Well, speaking of, I mean, yeah, Chris Paul is on that no
Yeah,
that
meat.
vegan
He's-
diet
he's a
now.
vegan,
Yeah, you
yeah.
love that.
He
Right up
definitely is a
Chase's
vegan.
alley.
No,
There you go. This is-
can never do it. But
you could do it.
no, I couldn't. I've
You
tried.
He
I've
sa-
tried.
Oh, he tried. So I've talked to him
I've
whenever he
tried.
was doing it before, and he sounded confident. He gave up.
No.
Hey, I don't.
Just-
And no,
It just
I could never ever think about doing it.
it's good to try things.
Yeah.
It's like, all right,
It's
people
good to
actually
try
do this.
things.
I mean, like, all right, so like I'm gonna have to get to the point where like, cause my fiance is gluten-free, dairy-free. So
Mhm.
like, dude, I can't remember the last time I drank milk. You know,
Same.
stuff like that.
Like whole milk from
Like I'll get it in coffee. That's probably it. That's all
Mhm.
I get. But yeah, it's just like stuff like that. Like no bread in the house, basically. It's like I love bread.
Me too, bro.
Yeah,
You guys don't live together.
see, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat bread until I can't.
Right. That's how I feel about it too, though. Like I'll change my diet when I have to. Basically, unfortunately, that's
Yeah.
how I feel about it.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
because I love bread. But I also I had I liked a really good quote on chapter 17. It was I think it was from his coach. Yeah, the Skipisms. If you can't be on time, be early. Don't want to be the 3 to 6 guy. Don't want to be the 3 to 6 guy, then be the 6 to 3 guy. I was like, yeah. There you go.
Took a deep pause.
Like that.
Honestly, and he that shows up in this chapter. You come to find out why he wanted to be early. I had on 236. I just started doing it because it became a game at this point. He name dropped Rich Paul. He goes, my longtime friend Rich Paul decided to pull up to Philly for this particular game.
Bro, I didn't
But-
make any that that doesn't make any sense to me because Rich Paul is LeBron's
Friend.
friend, agent,
Mhm.
Yeah.
longtime friend. But like at this point, oh, I guess this is when he was older, right? No, because this
This
was when he
is-
was in college.
Yeah.
So like, how did Chris Paul know Rich Paul in college? Like, where does this all line up? Like, how does Rich Paul know all these famous
Might have been-
superstars?
Bro, Rich
'Cause-
Paul was a baller.
What do you mean
Dude,
by baller?
This
gonna
is
have-
what I'm saying, bro. He hoops.
Yeah.
He's nice.
But-
he's an agent now.
Well, yeah. But like, he
So
didn't.
Rich Paul knew LeBron. They were great players going to EYBL tournaments with Chris
Yeah.
Paul. They'd all get to know
Different
each other and
camps.
hang out at these camps.
Oh, you think it was through the
it's
games and
elite
stuff?
camps and
Had
stuff
to
like
be.
yeah. They played on all these teams together. The
Yeah.
USA teams, under 16, under 15.
Yeah.
So
Not
like,
LeBron James though.
Did Bron play?
Was-
USA?
They're different agents,
know.
right? They're
no,
not
they're
like,
one
they're-
age
yeah.
off. They're one
Yeah,
age.
it's like
one
a
Oh,
year
so
off.
they were
Yeah.
well.
They're-
No,
they're
well, LeBron
close.
was in the league.
Well,
Yeah, I
in
mean,
high
he
school,
went-
we're
Wow.
talking. I mean,
He
the
went
kids
straight.
do stuff in middle school. And
What do you mean middle school? You think they were all Rich Paul, LeBron James, and Chris Paul were all playing that young together?
hey, dude,
Yeah.
they're only names now because they're names now.
Yeah.
Right,
were.
but like how is the connection? How did Rich Paul get introduced to LeBron's James' life and Chris Paul's life? Like the rarity to be friends with two NBA superstars?
Hey,
It's
man.
rare now, but it's not that rare. Dude, you just got to think about it, right?
That's like
Just
you
think about it.
and you both becoming golf superstars.
It is not at all like
and we're
that.
yes, and then we're just like, yeah, oh
this
yeah,
is from
man,
a
we're
young
on the
age.
we're on
Whenever
the-
you're
we just had
young,
a podcast together.
Rich Paul was a great shooter, from what I've heard. And if you're all on the same team together at like 7th and 8th grade, it wouldn't be. And then these 2 or 3 guys end up becoming.
No.
pro.
That makes sense.
That's what it is.
But where does the lineage of Rich Paul playing with Chris Paul and LeBron James? At
He
the same
didn't
time?
play with them, maybe.
I feel
Maybe.
like it
Like,
had to be
how?
camps, bro.
It would have to
That's
be
the
a
only
camp.
way.
It would have to be like training camp.
Because they had the
Yeah, yeah.
ABCD camp. That was like the
But
biggest
like,
camp
where did
everybody
LeBron
went.
grow
Yeah,
up?
that's probably what it
Akron.
was. They would put on
Akron,
Ohio,
Ohio, right.
It's
So-
not very far away.
From North Carolina?
Not that far.
No, but I mean they're going to these elite camps.
Yeah, elite camps.
So it's like
I guess.
The
No, that's
one
what it
thing-
is, and it's just weird. It's just gonna feel weird because you think Rich Paul the agent, but he was. I
Right,
actually found
yeah.
this out recently too. He was a great
Yeah.
player. He played. He was LeBron James' teammate. Like
Oh,
him
okay,
and LeBron
okay.
James
So they play
won
together.
the state championship together.
Gotcha. So yeah.
Yeah,
there
so
must
that's
been-
just what you don't
there's
know.
some
That's what
definitely-
you don't know.
there's
Read
some-
Rich Paul's book. He probably talks about it. Like he just had a book come out. Like we're just learning all this random stuff now.
Yeah,
it's
'cause,
just
like I
known
want to know
information to
Rich
them.
Paul's lineage on how he met
every
these
yeah,
guys.
Yeah.
He
'Cause,
was
like,
LeBron's friend from the jump because
that makes sense. I understand the connection with
Yes.
like LeBron and Rich
Mhm.
Paul
Right.
because they seem to go way back. But then
Same
it's
thing
like,
with LeBron and Chris Paul. You realize they're best friends, right? Always have been.
where
So then
where
they
does
just
that
become the
relationship
three amigos.
start? You know,
Oh, I don't know.
that's what I want to
that.
know. It's like were they just seeing? I mean, I guess like when you
Rich
guys
Paul
are
got
that
one line. He doesn't like him that much.
well, I'm just saying like if they're at that caliber of talent, I
Yeah.
guess there isn't too many pools where you guys are playing.
That's what I'm saying. I think I know.
It's
I
the
think it was just a
elites.
shock for you
But
of
it's
hearing
just-
that,
it's just
or of trying to
crazy.
make that
Yeah.
make sense. Isn't that weird though?
He
Super weird. Like what?
turned it into agent.
But to spin that forward off your quote, the reason he put that one in there is because obviously, have you guys been in this situation? Bus
What?
I don't think so.
running late,
Honestly,
not gonna
no.
catch it. Not you
I've not
all.
been- I've been good. I've been a goody
You're-
two shoes on that stuff.
And I believe you because because if you have, it's
And the anxiety.
It's
Yeah, me too. The time anxiety is definitely real.
it's the worst thing in the entire
Yeah.
world.
No,
It
I've
is.
been. Luckily, I've never had to deal with that through any travels or anything.
Dude, I've only
Never
had it
missed
happen
nothing.
like I've only had it happen on like the occasional things, but whenever like I've had it happen like once or twice, and it was just by like a couple minutes, and it was like for a good reason.
Mhm.
But like it doesn't matter. Like just the reality of it.
Yeah, I
It's
can
just
relate
like
to the
a-
disappointment from a coach.
Yeah, dude. Because I
That
highlighted. He
sucks.
said like Coach Processor, who normally had something to say to me, was quiet as a church mouse. He knew I was mad and could feel it, and I wanted to make it up to him because he's like, I thought I could apologize to him, have a great game, any of that stuff, but he ends up going like Coach Processor started going over plays. Then he wrote on the whiteboard the lineup, and my name wasn't on the whiteboard. Thank God we won the game, or I don't know what I would have been able to do. But I like how Chris Paul I read all that basically just to get to the point where he was like, Chris eventually goes on to say, like, next time they do the road trip, he gets a new, stays with a new partner, a new, anymore. Like he had even tried to call down and set the alarm to the front office, to the front desk and stuff like that, like just in case. But this guy said not to. So I thought that I did think it's cool to see him take accountability because, like, honestly, like these are younger kids. Obviously, college isn't the same as like middle school, but like I was just at a game last night watching where this kid got in trouble for taunting. Got put onto the bench on our team, and then just pouted the rest of the game and didn't get to go back in. That happens. You try and like rally, try and come back. Like you take responsibility for it. Oh, I can't be doing it. Maybe it goes differently. So the fact that he's just always been one of those guys, there's really, at the end of the day, there's really only two types of players. Are you going to push forward for your team on the next play? Or are you going to be worried about what you just did?
Oh yeah.
There's really only two types of
Yeah,
players.
you're a team player.
Yeah, you're a team
Yeah.
player. I mean, and even team players can be that type of player, but like you're doing two types of things. You're either
Yeah.
trying to work for the team or you're worried about something else. And I think Chris is like just trying to be in the right like mindset. You see it just all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of a few coaches of Coach Prosser that I've had,
Mm-hmm.
where I was like, yeah, that was a good coach. And then all of a sudden passed away.
Yeah, that was sad. That was sad, man. It's got to be. I mean, I guess it was a little more spaced out because it's not like it was like back to back.
No,
but-
he was in the league.
Yeah,
right? He was,
yeah,
he
but
was
it's
getting
also
an award or something.
Hey man, but that's a lot of prominent people in your life, dude. Just think about that then. Think about what maybe your two most influential people in your life right now not being here.
Oh yeah.
Because right, it's his papa and then his coach. I mean, that's
Well,
almost the inspiration for the book, right?
Well, there's definitely time in between those.
No, there's
those
time.
passings. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like at this moment, like
Yeah.
those were his people. So
Yeah.
I mean, he's still walking around with that. You'd have to imagine, like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
of course he prefers them to be here. Of
Yeah.
course, they still could probably be here age-wise. What was he? 55.
Yeah, because they were both
55 was
seemed
the
very-
coach.
seemed young. Yeah, I don't know what Pop.
I don't know what Papa
I don't
was.
know. Will we find out if why he
Might
passed?
have been 61.
But yeah, I guess we'll find out maybe at the end of the book.
Last chapter this week.
And that's it.
Oh,
That is it.
did we do chapter 18? Or
Oh no, I
Oh,
didn't.
We didn't do chapter 18.
I stopped at 17.
Oh, I think
stopped
you're right.
at
Yeah, I
18.
just didn't write end.
Ooh.
It would definitely be fun to read.
Is-
Conspiracy.
water wet.
Exactly.
We're starting there.
Why?
It's the book and why.
But yes, so guys, if you are listening and
It's
you're
the
watching,
conspiracy on every
if
page.
you are watching, we will be finishing up the book, chapter 18, all the way to the end, guys.
Wrapping it up.
But now we're going to jump into our, if you are still listening or watching, we are now jumping into our nice little short segments. Starting off
Short
with
snippets.
the short snippets. Is
yeah,
that what we're calling
yeah,
it?
that's what we've been calling it.
Oh, okay, my bad. Short snippets.
And that's what you've been calling it.
Oh, have I?
I
Oh,
like it. It's
Short
okay.
snippets.
Either way, short snippets. Short
Short-
snippets.
snippets.
Take us away. Let's
Ooh.
get it started with our.
This
what
is
do we
good
have? Do we got a quote
Start.
ready?
Yeah, yeah.
Kick it off.
So this is from Gandhi. Your future depends on what you do today.
Mm.
Just a good
It's
one.
simple on the surface.
Yeah.
Just gotta let it soak in.
Yep. Think about it. Think about it.
I mean, try and argue it. Try and argue it. All right. Now we're gonna move it on
I got
to.
an ad. Hold on. There's an ad on the app. Give me a sec.
Do you want me to?
You
go
can do
to-
yours. Mine's almost.
Here,
it's
we'll
almost-
wrap it
almost
up with
about half
mine.
of
It's not at this point. This is theatrical.
Sorry, I was looking at. I saw one fact and I was like, that's a good one, and then I swiped and I was like, that's a really good one, and then I swiped again. So there's like 3 really interesting facts.
And then now he's on an ad, and
And now I'm on an ad. There we go. Okay.
There he is.
All right. I'm gonna give you all 3. 3 fun facts of the day.
Like it.
Special
bonus
one.
episode.
Oh, well, it's a bonus one because we
Yeah.
did part 1, part 2.
It's a
There you go.
bonus. Yeah. So
All right.
here's the 2, and you get a bonus.
If we have a plan B, our plan A is less likely to work.
Mm.
I disagree. But I just
Okay.
fun fact of the day, part 2. The type of music you listen to affects the way you perceive the world. I agree with that one.
Yeah, because I think
definitely.
what music you listen to kind of is
Definitely.
is an extension of kind of who you are.
Yeah.
Right.
It's what you're feeding your brain.
Yeah.
And then this one's just a bonus because it's funny. Every human being starts out as an asshole. It's the first part of the body.
Pisses you off, and they're never gonna get it.
Right? You
Right.
just hug
Never
them,
gonna
you're
get.
just like,
What are you?
oh,
Oh,
hi.
you're just
That's
just
like,
going back to your roots.
We've
today,
all
huh?
been there.
Dude, literally just patronize. Oh, just going
Oh
back to your
my
roots
God.
today. It's like, what do you mean?
That's hilarious, bro.
Look it up. I
That's
don't
a
even
good
know
one.
where to start.
Yeah.
Calling up his mom.
Bro, that's
Where
a
are
good
we
one.
from? Oh, that's hilarious.
All
All right,
right.
here we go. We'll wrap it
All right,
up.
what's
We'll
our-
wrap it up. That's a funny
What's our
fact.
thought-provoking question?
All right, so this thought-provoking question really is exactly how it sounds. So I'm gonna need you guys to think about this. We'll kind of do it quickly because I don't want this to turn into something long. But whenever it comes to sports, since obviously we're reading a book about Chris Paul, athlete, I wanted to do a sports question today. It's actually kind of constant innovating of sports. So let me just say this. You know, you got different point totals and different stuff like that on how you break that stuff down. You even have the championship game that doesn't even statistically count.
Right.
What do you think's too far? Do you like what they're trying to do? What do you not like with how sports are right now?
I'm gonna go in general. I like
Go ahead.
that they're changing up the game.
For what sport? Or just
Just
for
in general, they always change stuff. NFL's
Mhm.
doing stuff. They're all changing it and trying to make the game better.
so you're always a fan of change in general.
I don't like changes in statistics when it comes to affecting statistics because then you don't
Makes
really
sense.
truly know who is the great.
Yeah.
So
Because then you're going to
even
get the
like,
greats of eras or the greats of this change or the greats of that, which, you know, it's always going to be the age-old question. Oh, you know, well, he was playing in this era and he was
Mhm.
playing in this era. Like, would he have won? But, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, they'll never play each other. But I always like seeing the comparisons of like, oh, wow, like like, for instance, NBA, like, there's rumors that they're going to move back the 3-point line or they're going to even cut it out so there's
Mhm.
no wings on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's going to affect the percentages. At that point, like, why? You know, like, if
Yeah.
these guys are that good, like, you don't need to change that.
So I like that. So he got his 2 cents in.
So, yeah,
so
that's
before
my
I throw it to you,
statistics.
here's like the perspective that I have on it because I kind of look at it now. I'm a huge fan of like Nick Wright, just the way he presents his stuff, and he looks at a lot of sports now, which is I never thought I'd have this route or viewpoint, but like from a historical perspective and from like and like how the statistics will change. So before I throw it to you, like 17 game NFL season now, you get an extra game.
Yeah.
So like you get an extra game to accumulate stats. NBA, too many games, guys. We're gonna go from 82 to 72. You're
Yeah.
losing 10 games to try and I was actually, I don't think she cared at all. She was probably annoyed I was talking about it. But I was talking to my wife about it. Like, how are people going to catch LeBron James ever if they shorten the regular season?
Right.
He's been
See?
the healthiest man of
And
all
that's
time
it.
forever. And then you
that's it.
can't compare.
And that's a hard line,
Exactly.
and you can never compare.
But I mean, and then they say the 3-point line before that was existed. That was a hard line too. So I mean, I like the changes too. But what are you thinking? I mean, I just wanted to throw that stuff out there just before I threw it to you.
I think it's good. I think just having different ways to make it more exciting, I guess, because even just watching like it feels like playoff basketball in the early part of the season, but
Right.
and then you have like the NFL, you're at an extra game, another week of entertainment for people. even the MLB, like shortening the timer
Time
for the
clock.
pitch.
Yeah, I didn't even
Like,
bring that up. The pitch clock.
Just,
But
you know,
I think that's a good change because it doesn't mess with the stats.
right.
You know, like that's a
but,
good one.
but it gives pitchers right. You say that, but like if we want to have an ethical conversation about it, did it lead to Tyler Glasnow getting hurt because he didn't have more time in between pitches, or did it lead to these pitchers who had an uptick in arm injuries this year? Maybe they weren't having. I mean, and maybe it's all mental. Maybe it's not. And I haven't looked at all the numbers. Like I'm just gonna throw that out there
Yeah,
just because
true.
I like to put stuff out there. We're
Yeah,
gonna talk about it.
but I think that change is a lot minor compared
It
to
is.
like
I
if
agree
they
with you
like
there. I agree with you.
if they like because there's been changes where they're saying like push back the mound.
Yeah, no,
It's
I
like,
agree. Like
that's like
Whoa.
why?
that's a structural
know?
change to the game.
right. Like that's like the
Yeah, yeah.
structural changes like that, like either schedule wise or something
Because
like
even
that.
college
That's like
basketball, like
what?
they've even
Like,
like brought the shot
why?
clock timer down in college. It used to be like 40 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
Really? They
like-
brought it down?
I thought they had brought it down.
see time.
It's just
I gotta
so
check
I
maybe,
think-
maybe they haven't brought it down, but they
It's like
should bring
I
it
think
down.
like
They've
timing,
talked- I think they've
timing
talked
things
about
are
it.
like minor tweaks.
Yeah.
I think that's a tweak
I can agree with
more
that.
than like a heavy duty 3-point line is now no longer.
Winning
If
money,
that
but-
change goes through, there is no way you can really argue like the LeBron versus anything else because
Mhm.
he's gonna retire and all his games are played.
And that's
on
a
that
big part
thing,
of what sports are.
and
for
like that's
some
it. Like
reason.
that's what you can't. There's no way you physically cannot do it from that
People will
legitimate
still
standpoint.
try.
Oh
too,
my!
yeah,
Well,
people
it's
will still
entertainment
try.
factor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
entertainment.
I
And that's what sports are too. That's the one thing I kind of wanted to wrap this with is like, it's tough because like we're sitting here talking about, man, that's not fair to Steph Curry. The NBA kind of cares about Steph Curry. They care adjacent. They just care about the NBA. It was here
Mhm.
before. It'll be here after.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
rest in peace. Kobe Bryant goes down. Huge brand for the NBA, even though he was retired. Like the game just moves. That's the cold hard
Yeah.
truth about it. So it's like that's where I'm just like,
Is there? Do you know of any change that would break the game? Like for instance, one of them that they're talking about for the NFL is like the what is it? The QB sneak? Or no, what is it
oh, the
called?
tush
Oh, they
push,
had
yeah,
that,
the
yeah. Like-
brotherly shove.
Yeah. So like
I love that name.
like having that
Brotherly shove
in the like that seems to be the cheat code at least for this
Mhm.
season and last season and for like
for
past
them.
couple. So it's like all right, like
Well,
if,
they ban-
is there
but
a
they-
change where they're going to implement where it's like hey I don't know if NBA is ever going to be the NBA. There's might
Like in the NFL on defense, you can't hardly touch people now. Like
Yeah,
so, if
sure.
you want to talk about like right, because like then you have to have the conversation of you're signing on the dotted line. It's a risk inherited sport. There's inherent risk if you're going to play football. You literally are getting into a car, like the way football players describe it, you're getting into a car crash every single play. So it's like, if you're going to play that for the millions and millions and millions that it gets you, because you get to just play a game your whole life, to put it in a certain way, not to make it sound like whatever,
Right.
but you get to play a game for your entire life. Like, is that the trade-off? Or is it
Right.
like, no, we're going to continuously, because like I don't have like whenever it comes to people's safety, I don't put my flag anywhere. Then I'll just talk about whatever we want to talk about. I'm not gonna say this is how it should be. I'm just saying like, you can't above the chest, but you can't do below the waist. So what is it? Hit him in the stomach. But
so
what if you hit him in the liver? Like,
Yeah.
so no liver shots.
so for instance, let's say they go extreme flag football.
It's
NFL.
in the Olympics.
Is it still watchable? Or no.
Flag
It's
football,
watchable,
If
but
NFL?
it's flag.
But it's like not there, right? I mean,
I don't know. I think people want that.
they want the skill, and they want to see the skill players get hit.
Yeah.
Like they want, but
People
they
wanna
want
see
they
that
want to
brute
see the
force.
battle, and then they want to see someone come.
Yeah.
Sports are, dude. That
Yeah.
like
Right.
that's what's so weird about it, and that's why that's why the people that play sports almost 99% of the time are all saying like leave it how it is or quit taking this stuff off, because
Mhm.
we've been training the past 20 years to play the game this way,
Right, to hit this properly.
to play
or
the
whatever,
game
yeah.
this
Yeah.
way. So it's like, yeah, I mean it's gonna, and then it's gonna be sad. You know, what's sad is this, like now it's just talked about on the news.
Mhm.
And like 20 years ago, it was just happening in the shadows, and like the NFL, everyone that knew it was happening knew it was happening. And then now that everybody knows that it's happening, like